Hello, today I'm going to show you how to work with shapes in Office. Specifically, I'm looking at Word, as you can see, but I think this works exactly the same in PowerPoint and Excel. So, here's my document. I am going to head over to the Insert tab, and today I'm going to be looking at the Illustrations group. Now, most of these things are worth a video of their own, and this is no exception, so today I'm going to look at shapes. So this is kind of a weird video because there's not like a way to do it, but we'll just kind of talk about what it is and what it isn't. When you click on shapes, you see you have all these options for these predefined shapes. Every one of these has a name. Most of them are pretty ridiculous. Like I bet that one's called happy face or something. Smiley face. I bet that one's called heart. I bet that one's called lightning. You see this game I'm playing? That is how you know what they're called. You have to hover over them and look at that thing that's called a tooltip. I like to ask people to do stars and banners because it's pretty clearly labeled. And while this seems pretty weird, like that's an 8-point star, that's a 10-point star, that's a 16-point star. You see kind of, of all the shapes here, that's the most, straightforward one. So let's say I want to do a 16-point star. So I click on it and nothing happens. That right there is the entirety of the interesting part here. Notice my cursor looks like this, I don't know, crosshair kind of thing. Your job is to click and drag. It's waiting for you to define what it's going to look like. And notice I can make something like that or like that, right? It's up to me to draw this thing. When I let go, there's my shape. That's all there is to working with shapes. I'm going to spend the rest of this talking about shapes. So when you got a shape, well, you see you've got drawing tools now. So you've got a contextual tab. We were under the insert tab, but now we're messing with our shape. You got styles here. I'm not going to mess with those. Those are like packages of pre-formatted styles. I'm just going to show you shape fill. So shape fill is how you change the color of your thing. I think that's a pretty important one to understand. The other one, which I think is less important but sometimes can be helpful, is shape outline. Now, it's probably hard for you to see, but there's this weird blue outline on it, and it really does look pretty terrible. It's very subtle. You can kind of see it happening. Right, so that's how you change the color. Now, the one I want to show you is no outline. I'm telling you, no outline is oftentimes your best option. Like, why would you want an outline that was a different color? Well, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Let's just say yellow. All right, so between shape fill and shape outline, for me, that's most of what I have ever needed to do. Shape effects, of course, shadows and stuff. I'm not going to mess around with that stuff. Those are the same kind of effects that you can apply to any picture. One thing I do want to show you with shape outline is you got a weight here. So you can make it, right? You can make that outside, more narrow or thicker. That actually looks pretty awesome. All right, so that's how you work with a shape, generally speaking. The other thing I want to show you, see this little, I don't know what you call that thing. It's like a circle arrow thing. That is the rotate tool. Now, I don't know why you'd need to rotate this thing, but I just wanted to show you what that is. And, of course, when you're working with any kind of a graphical element, I always want to steer you over to here. This is how you take control of the height and weight. Let's say you want this thing to be 3 by 3. Well, there's 3 by 3. And that's how you get something like a round circle as opposed to whatever the heck you get when you're doing it some other way. And if you want some text on this shape, well, I am not even touching my mouse right now. I'm just going to start typing. That's how shapes work. You just type. And then it should add the text to it. Now, can you run out of room? Oh, you certainly can. So it'll get cut off. This is not going as well as I wanted it to. I'm just telling you, if you get too much text, now I'm in the land of it's not being displayed anymore. So it's entirely possible that your text might flow off of the shape, or the shape might not be large enough to display your text, but adding text should be as simple as that. Now, the reason I'm talking about that is sometimes I get questions from people saying, how do I add text? Well, I've never seen a shape where you can't just add text by typing on it. I guess if you needed to, you could right-click on it. There are some text options in there, like edit text. And I don't know what that does. I think I'm editing the text right now. Yeah, I am. So it's just weird because I was way off the screen. So I guess that's kind of like the formal way of getting the text selected, but I've never really had any issues with it. And I also want to show you that if you want to do just normal kind of like home tab formatting to that text like this, you can do that. I think it's important to show you that because when we're formatting the shape, we're under drawing tools. But I also want you to know that the rest of the ribbon is in play at all times, even though it might not be terribly obvious that it is. All right, so let me show you one more thing, and then we'll call this good. So that's really everything you need to know. But I'm going to show you one other shape that I think is particularly weird. Well, it's just difficult to deal with. Is in shapes, you got these lines. All right, so lines are just shapes, and so I click on a line, I click and drag like that, and I get drawing tools. Notice it doesn't have a shape fill. Because it's a line, right? A line doesn't have an inside, I guess. But what they do have is an outline. So I can make it orange. But when you're messing around with lines, the weight is pretty critical, right? Like, do you see how much of a difference that makes? So that's, without knowing how to manipulate the shape outline and the weight of that outline, lines are kind of useless. But once you do that, I don't know, then I think they're not terribly interesting. One last thing I will show you. So insert, let's say I want to do another shape. Let's say I want to do a banner. I just want to show you a tool here. Is let's say you're like, oops, I didn't want a banner. I wanted a 16-point star. Well, first off, I would probably just delete it and draw a new one. But if you ever have to edit it, you can go edit shape. And you go change shape, and then you get this menu, right? Why would you do that as opposed to like deleting it and just drawing a new one? Well, you wouldn't, but I could see like some kind of a test question asking you to change the shape. There's always that part of things, right? Like there's the easy kind of functional way of doing things versus just exploring all the various functionalities of Office. And so, you know, somewhere in between is where I'm always trying to split things. All right, so that's working with shapes in Office. Thanks for watching.